Good morning and welcome to this headstand strength building class. We're just back from a walk, so I think Benny will settle himself in a moment. So as I said, building strength for headstands, so we're not going to be doing headstands for 45 minutes. We're working on all the strength that you need to headstand, so that's upper body strength, core strength, as well as some flexibility, because flexibility really helps us when it comes to getting upside down. Generally, the longer your hamstrings, the easier job you'll have, but we'll make that clear. There's nothing that you particularly need for this class, but when it does come to coming upside down, if you are new to this, if you aren't 100% sure or confident of your abilities, do make sure you're safe by either doing it in front of a sofa, in front of a wall, or with a spotter, so that you don't run the risk of hurting yourself. So we're going to start the class in child pose. So widen your knees, wider than your hips, and let your big toes come to touch. Walk your hands away and then let your forehead come to rest onto the floor. Keep those arms nicely outstretched in front of you and just give yourself a moment to become still here. Maybe just closing your eyes so that you can focus on your breathing. Watch yourself take a deep breath in and then visualize those lungs shrinking down as you breathe out and all that air leaves the body. Again, as you breathe in, feel that extra space within your torso. And as you breathe out, allow everything to feel a little softer, a little calmer. Couple more here. Allow the head to feel nice and heavy, the hips to be heavy too. Grow longer in the sides of the body, breathing in and breathing out. Great. From here, walk your hands off the right side of the mat, all the way so that your chest comes towards your right thigh. Really reach through your left fingertips and push the rib cage out in the left direction. So each inhale is giving you that extra stretch along the side body and staying heavy against that right thigh or towards the right thigh as you breathe out. Again, breathing in and then breathing out back to center and straight over to the other side, all the way over towards the left. Right sit bone or right side of the pelvis stays heavy down towards your heels and feel like you're pushing your rib cage out in that right direction. And exhale to stay soft. Great, we'll take one more to breathe in. And then breathing out, walk yourself back to center. Look towards the top of the mat if you need to readjust so you have space. Bring your body forwards and all the way down onto your bellies. Make sure you've not come miles off the front of your mat. And then draw your elbows out underneath your shoulders so that your shoulders are right on top of your elbows, palms to face the floor, and this is Sphinx Pose. We're going to press down through the front of the pelvis, reach out through the toes and keep your chest lifted. So feeling like you're lengthening the front of the body as you're strengthening the back. From there, let the chin fall down towards the chest and feel the stretch in the back of the neck. And then roll the ear towards your right shoulder. Then lift your chin to the sky and then left shoulder and just start to make some circles for the neck here. All the while, think of this Sphinx Pose shape, so the elbows press down, the lower back squeezes, but just focus on finding full range within the neck. You can start small and get bigger. And you can always pause at any point that feels particularly nice. And just make sure you don't get too dizzy. Let your neck circles change direction. All the way around in the other direction. Keep the pelvis pressing down and keep reaching out through those toes. You can pause, like I say, with chin to chest if that feels particularly nice there. And then draw yourself back to center. Just make sure you're not feeling too dizzy. Let your chest then come down to the mat. We're going to do some little progressions of baby cobras and cobras. So your hands to come pretty much underneath your shoulders. We're going to keep that engagement in the hips and the legs. As you inhale, lift your chest a little to look forwards. The arms aren't doing much, but they're helping us a little to find that lift. As you exhale, release and let your body relax against the mat. Again, breathing in, baby cobra, chest lifts, a little bit of help from the hands, but not a lot. Exhale to release down. One more. Inhale, keep the neck nice and long so the shoulders pull down. And exhale to release down. You should feel that strength, that effort into your lower back as you do those. I want you to think of that same strength as we move into the next variation. Take your hands wider than your mat and stack them up onto fingertips and in front of your shoulders now. Let your elbows point to the sky and you should feel a stretch across the front of your chest and the shoulder blades squeeze together. And then again, as you inhale, lift the chest, press those fingers down, lift your chest forwards. Your elbows can drop a little as you do that. Exhale, releasing down to the mat. Again, inhale, lift through your chest. So you should be able to lift a little higher here, long neck. Exhale to release. And then one more, breathing in. Take a little pause at the top. Squeeze that lower back, press the pelvis down. And exhale to release your way to the floor. Great. This time, hands are going to go flat, and you can always take them a little further forwards if things are feeling too intense. The closer back towards your body they are, the harder it is for the back strength. Breathing in, ripple the body up. Keep that pelvis down. Keep the chest nice and broad and your shoulders pulling away from your ears. And then take a little look over your right shoulder. See if you can see your right foot. You can give that right knee a bend. Don't overdo it because you'll get cramp in your hamstring. And then exhale back to center. And then take a little look over the left shoulder. Option to bend that left knee. And then letting it go. Release yourself all the way down onto the mat. Hands to come underneath your chest. As you press your way all the way back to child's pose, bum towards your heels. Feel that lower back being lengthened now. You should notice how child's pose is stretching your lower back, which perhaps you don't usually if you've not worked it quite so hard. And then press your way up towards tabletop. Get those shoulders above the wrists and hips above the knees. Use a deep breath in for the ribs to dip to the mat, the chest to lift and to look forwards. Make sure your toes are untucked. As you exhale, round your spine, press into the tops of the feet and let your knees float as you come into your cat. Again, drop the knees, inhale, lift through the chest, looking forwards, maybe slightly upwards. Exhale to round, broaden the shoulder blades, floating those knees, press into the arms. Great, again, inhale, shoulder blades squeeze together. Feel like you're pulling the mat back towards your knees. Exhale to round, press into the tops of the feet to float those knees and push into the hands. Great, one more of each, breathing in. And then breathing out, floating knees, belly to spine, rounded back. Release everything down onto the mat. Give yourself the space. We're coming into down dog, so tuck the toes behind you, feet hip distance apart. Lift the hips to the sky as you press the thighs backwards. Opening those armpits nice and wide. Think of the body weight shifting towards the legs. And if you want to give the legs a little pedal out, then now is your time. The head is nice and floppy, dangling between the arms. And those hips are lifting high, high to the sky, and to really get that stretch into your hamstrings, particularly if you tend to feel down dog more into your calves. Really think of rolling your sit bones tall to the sky. 2 more breaths, keep lengthening, strengthening those shoulders. Great, and then inhale, look forwards to the top of the mat. We're going to walk the feet in. Think of compressing the belly towards the thighs. So I want you to keep your hands on the floor as long as you possibly can. Challenge those hamstrings, challenge your core strength. And when you're at the top of the mat, we're ragdoll folding. So soft bend in the knees so the torso and the legs stay connected. Arms can dangle or they can cross. Just allow the upper body to feel nice and heavy over the lower. A little sway if you like, or not if you don't like. Think of those elbows pulling down towards the mat. Release your hands to your shins. Inhale, halfway lift, so find a tabletop shape through the spine. Thighs are really pressing backwards, quads are engaged. On the exhale, refold. This time you might want to give yourself a little pull, holding the ankles or the legs or some part of your feet to really get that stretch a little deeper into the back of the legs. One more, inhale, half lift. Make sure you've still got that hamstring stretch. Strengthen through your quads, push your hips backwards. And then exhale, folding, option to give yourself a little pull, sandwich your upper body against your lower body. On the inhale, rise your way all the way up to stand. Take the arms up above the head, keep that tailbone tucked so the core is strong. And then exhale, release your hands alongside your body. So make sure your feet are hip distance apart, or at least just not together. You're making life harder for yourself. I want you just to stand tall, shoulders rolling slightly back, arms by your sides, and then closing your eyes. Just a little bit of a balance thing to try here. Keep those shoulders rolled back, and I want you to focus on the soles of your feet. So your weight is going to tip forwards. Lean your weight forwards and notice what happens in your feet. Your toes press into the mat to maintain your balance, and you'll really start to grip the floor with your toes. Now come back to center. Don't worry if you fall, just step back, try again. And then take a little lean back and go steadily, and notice how the weight comes into your heels. And you should feel that your core starts to work to hold your balance here for you to not tumble backwards. Come back to center, do one more forwards. Lean that body forwards. Notice the work in the toes, the work in the feet. And then lean yourself a little backwards. Notice that strength that suddenly fires up inside your belly to try and maintain and hold your balance. Particularly if you're about to lose it, suddenly your core goes whoop and holds you in. So draw yourself back to center, take a deep breath in, reach your arms to the sky, open your eyes. And as you exhale, forward fold and just hang out in this hamstring stretch for a moment. So that weight transfer that we just tested in the feet is exactly the same whenever we're trying to balance. So whether it be headstands, arm balances, handstands, whatever your feet just did is what your foundation needs to do. So in a moment in the class when we move towards headstand, I want you to think of the front of your headstand, so your fist. That's what your toes are. When your weight starts to tip forwards, those toes press down, so your hands would press down. If your weight is starting to tip back and the feet are starting to return towards the floor, it's your heels that press down and your core tries to hold on. So that would be your elbows, because we're going to be doing supported headstand. Should have told you that. So try and think of, whenever you're doing any balance on the floor, today it's headstand, try and think of what is your accelerator and what is your brake. Your brake is the thing in front of you. For today it's going to be our fists. Our accelerator is going to be our elbows. So moving on from here, hands to your shins again. Inhale, halfway rise. And as you exhale, forward fold. Just thought I'd let you stretch your hamstrings whilst I yabbered at you there. Inhale, all the way up to stand. Reach your arms to the sky. That's multitasking at its finest. Exhale, release your arms by your side. So come to stand onto your left leg. You're going to draw your right knee up towards your chest, interlace your hands around the shin, and give it a nice tight squeeze in towards your body. Think of your thigh coming towards your belly, and you're pulling your knee as close to your chest as you can. Left glute is working hard, so you're squeezing the muscles of your standing leg and you're keeping your chest nice and broad. Breathing in as you hold here. And then as you breathe out, I want you to step this leg as far back as you can. So go super slowly. You're maintaining your balance, the stability in this left leg. Reach that foot to the back of the mat. See if you can literally place it down without falling. Obviously, if you fall, no worries. Front knee is going to stay on top of front ankle. We've got a nice long lunge. Sink your hips forwards and down and keep your chest nicely lifted. Squeezing through those right glutes, take a deep breath in. Arms rise to the sky and the palms come to meet above you. As you inhale, think of your chest rising away from your hips. And as you exhale, the hips start to keep moving forwards and down. Take one more breath in to rise tall. On the exhale, let your elbows splay wide, shoulder blades together, so cactus the arms. Think of the chest rising towards the sky. And as you exhale, release and let your arms come behind your back. Interlace them into a fist, legs stay the same. Breathing in, draw the fist towards chest, puffs to the sky. And as you exhale, think of your left shoulder coming to rest towards your left knee. So the torso is resting over the front leg. Keep lunging forwards, chin towards the chest so you can look towards your back foot and lift the fist as far away from your body as you can. Just one more inhale. As you exhale, leave the arms, drop the back knee to the floor, untuck the back toes. Take a deep breath in, lift the chest to the sky so now the fist is pulling towards the mat. Squeezing right glutes, hips drive forwards and down, chest stays nice and broad. As you exhale, release. Take your hands to the floor, either side of your foot. Shift your hips back so they're roughly on top of your back knee for a half split. If you need to readjust your front foot, then do so. Pull the toes up towards the sky and think of your sit bones moving backwards. Torso and thigh stay nicely connected, so keeping the leg bent is absolutely fine. Good place to be for you to stretch your hamstring. Keep your chest lengthening forwards on your inhale and compressing your body against your thigh on the exhale. One more here, breathing in. And then breathing out. I want you just to swipe the foot back so that you come onto your knees. tuck your toes behind you and come into a little squat. Now we're going to have a practice at crow pose, but what we're focusing on today is the strength and the endurance. So there's the option to leave your feet on the floor if the balance of crow pose is something you're still working on. We're going to try and hold it for about 6 breaths, and that's my breath, not yours, so I will count. So hands are going to go, so we're focusing on the strength in the upper body and the core. Hands just like a plank, knees towards your triceps, lift your hips. If you can balance in crow, go ahead. Let your weight tip forwards. If you cannot, let your chest keep coming forwards. Leave your feet on the floor. So either heels are pulling in towards bum as you hold here, or you can leave them down so you can focus as much weight as you can into your hands. You've got 3 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Belly in towards spine, weight towards your fingertips. Notice how you're gripping, like the way that you did with your toes. Last breath now, inhale. And exhale. Shift your weight back so you come onto the balls of your feet. Walk your hands forwards, we're coming back into down dog. Hips to the sky, press the thighs backwards and let yourself settle here. A nice long breath in, fill the lungs. And a slow breath out. One more, breathing in. And breathing out. Great, looking forward to the top of the mat. Feet walk in. Hands stay on the floor as long as you can. Compress the legs and body together. Get those feet towards the wrists. Once you are there, hands to your shins. Halfway lift, breathing in. Folding over the legs, breathing out. Inhale to come all the way up to stand. Arms up and overhead, tailbone tucks, belly is firm. Exhale to release your hands by your side. Great, so our balancing leg this time. Let your body stay nice and upright. Try to bring your leg towards your grip rather than reaching towards your leg. Chest stays facing forwards, shoulder blades squeeze together. Give this leg a little squeeze. Right glutes are engaged and perhaps you can feel your foot wiggling against the mat as you try to maintain your balance. Deep breath in. And then exhale, I want you to send this foot a long, long way back. So bend the standing leg, hold on to the balance and place it down at the back of the mat. Drive your hips forwards and down. You can always widen your stance if you want to from here. Find that lunge shape first, squeeze through your glutes, strong legs. Inhale, the arms rise to the sky. Thinking of bringing the arms alongside the ears or perhaps even beyond the ears if your shoulders have that range of flexibility. Take an inhale to think of the ribs rising. An exhale to think of the hips sinking. One more inhale. On the exhale, elbows go wide, open like a cactus arms, chest lifts to the sky as you really lengthen the front of the body. Exhale, hands interlace into a fist behind you, torso upright. Breathing in, fist towards the floor. And breathing out, right shoulder towards right knee. Keep lunging into this front leg so the weight is all tipping forwards. See if you can maintain the balance as you drop your chin towards your chest and the gaze goes towards the back foot. Breathing in. And then breathing out, drop the knee down, leave the arms interlaced, untuck the back toes, lift the chest, pull the fist towards the floor. Hips are still driving forwards and down. Take one more breath in. And then breathing out. Hands come to the mat. Hips shift back so you're roughly on top of your back knee and the toes pull up, front toes up towards the sky. Make sure we're giving the front heel a push down into the floor and you should feel the difference that makes into the back of your right hamstring when you do. Breathing in, keep finding length in the body. Breathing out, keep compressing the body towards the thigh. Again, inhale. And exhale. Great. From here, release out of the stretch, swipe the knee back so you come towards tabletop. And again, we're going to come for a crow hold. So tuck the toes, lift through the knees. Option as before to leave the toes onto the mat. Otherwise, get those knees up towards your triceps. Chest comes forwards. See if you can find your balance. Breathing in and breathing out. Hold steady, keep your gaze at one point. Third breath, inhale. Exhale. If you fall out of it, don't worry, see if you can come back, or like I say, leave the toes on the floor. 2 more breaths. Keep pushing. Press the floor away from you. Rise away. Hold your belly in. Inhale. Good. Exhale. Even I felt those quivers there. Let yourself come back towards down dog. You can take a little pause, a little breath if you need to, before sending those hips to the sky and re-lengthening out through the torso. Deep breath in. And breathing out. Great. Last one. So from your down dog, I want you to take a small step backwards with your hands, just a few inches. So you come into a shortened down dog, and hopefully your heels now feel closer or even on the floor. Don't worry if they're not on the floor. Your right hand is going to come to hold the inside of your left ankle, to look underneath your left armpit as you come into a twisted down dog. Pull against your own leg and feel that stretch across the upper part of your right back. And maybe you can see the sky, or maybe you can't. Hold here as you breathe in. And then as you breathe out, send that right hand back to the top of the mat, so further forward, where it would have been for a down dog. Shift into a side plank on that hand, so shoulder over wrist. Left hand to the sky. Think of your hips rising tall and your gaze can go to your top fingertips. Press down through that right hand, keep the chest lifting tall, and then see if you can draw your your left knee towards the sky, and your hand may be able to find that knee and pull it in. If it can't, don't worry, just keep lifting that knee. Deep breath in, and then guide that foot to the top of the mat, or attempt to, and then turn yourself forward so you're into lizard. Tricky transition. You've got another chance on the other side in a minute if it didn't happen. So your left foot is nice and wide. Your hands and your torso are on the inside of the thigh, and you can drop your back knee if you like, untuck your back toes. Focus on stretching into this front left hip here. Chest is forwards, option for the right elbow to drop. You can drop it onto a block if you have it. That's a nice middle ground. The front knee stays squeezing in towards the shoulder, so try not to let it flop away from the body and turn it into a hip stretch instead. Pull the body weight forwards and give that back knee a little press against the mat. Inhale and exhale. Great, one more. And then tucking your back toes and lifting your back knee. We're going to walk to the right side of the mat. All the toes turn with you. You can keep your knees a little bit bent if you need to for your hamstrings. So you're coming into a wide-legged shape. The toes turn a little bit inwards so that you're in line with the edges of your mat. Fingertips onto blocks or the floor. Use an inhale for a halfway lift. You're aiming for a tabletop shape through your spine. On the exhale, fold yourself between the legs. Engage your quads so kneecaps lift towards hips. Press down into the outer edges of your feet and let the weight come a tiny bit further forwards towards your toes. And again, notice how your toes press down to hold your balance. If your hands are firmly onto the mat, you can think of pushing the mat away from you, sort of overhead, to help stretch a little deeper. Sit bones are rolling to the sky, breathing in. Keep hugging the belly in to compress the torso towards the legs as you exhale. One more, breathing in. And breathing out. Now from here, let yourself bring your hands to the floor out in front of you. So if the hands to the floor is challenging for your hamstrings, you're going to have to bend your knees. This will just make this drill a little bit more challenging for you. We're going to try and load as much weight as we can into the hands. So staying in this wide-legged shape, I'm going to rock forwards towards the balls of my feet, lift my heels, see if I can lift right up onto my tippy toes. I'm pressing down into my hands, lifting my hips to the sky, and then roll back, let my heels rest down. That's one. We'll go again. Roll forwards, tippy, tippy, tippy toes. Press those fingers into the mat. Use them as your brakes and roll back all the way. Good. 3 more. Rolling forwards, lift the hips, press into the hands, long arms, rolling back. Last 2. Inhale, lifting, rolling forwards. This is a really good handstand drill as well. I know that's not today's class, but if you're working on your handstand, then it's 2 birds, 1 stone. Last one, roll forwards, press. Think of lifting your hips high, hug your belly in, and then roll those heels back. Hands walk back to the top of the mat. Send both feet to the back, downward facing dog, or you can take a moment in child's pose if you prefer, somewhere just to allow your body a moment to rest. Great, so from your downward facing dog, take that small step backwards with your hands, so you're into a mini down dog. Left hand reaches for right ankle, pull against it as you look under your right armpit and feel that stretch along your upper back. Keep lifting your hips to the sky, breathing in. And then breathing out, release. Step that hand forwards to the top of the mat. Shift your shoulders on top of that wrist for a left-handed side plank, right arm to the sky. Lift your pelvis tall, push it into this left hand, and then there's the option to see if you can draw your right knee to the sky, your right hand to see if it can hold it and pull it in towards your body. Take a deep breath in, and then see if you can encourage this foot to the top of the mat. Into your lizard, turn all toes to face forwards, both hands and the torso on the inside of the thigh, and you can drop the back knee down. Untuck the toes so you can find that sinking feeling in the pelvis. Same with the upper body, you can stay on the hands, you can drop the elbows, just think of your body sinking to the inner thigh as the knee stays close towards the body. Inhale and exhale. One more, breathing in and breathing out. Great. Lift those back toes, lift the back knee, lifting onto the back toes, and then walk around to the left. So coming back into a wide-legged fold, I'm going to turn around so you can see me, and re-angle those toes back slightly inwards into that pigeon toe. Fingertips to the mat, inhale, half lift. As you exhale, fold, option to take those hands to the mat to push in the direction of your toes to help deepen the fold. Or if that's not working for you, you can choose to hold your legs this time and give yourself something to pull against. The hips rising high, the spine staying long. Think of the crown of the head growing down towards the floor. Inhale and exhale. Take one more, breathing in and breathing out. We're not going to do the strength drills on this side. We've got other strength drills to move on to. Walk yourself back to the top of the mat. 2 feet step back, hips into the sky, and downward facing dog. Take 2 breaths. Inhale and exhale. Great. From here with your left leg, inhale, sending it to the sky for a 3-legged dog. Keep the arms nice and strong to send the chest backwards. Reach through those toes. Think of squeezing your left glutes to help the leg rise. On the exhale, draw that knee underneath and see if you can come to tap your nose. Bring your shoulders forwards on top of your wrists, so your plank pose, and hold your knee and nose together, or at least hold them as close to each other as you can. Breathe in. And then as you breathe out, drop your back heel down so your toes point out to the right. Keep this knee in towards the body, right arm to the sky. So it's a side plank variation and a much harder one if I do say so myself. Keep pressing, breathing in. And now kick this leg away from you. Place the heel onto the floor. Slide it away as your hips lift to the sky into your fallen triangle. So it's like a side plank variation again, but that foot is reaching to the top of the mat. Gaze to your top fingertips, inhale. And then draw your hand to the mat. Swipe the foot back into down dog. That's a hard little sequence, guys. Well done if you're keeping up. Hips into the sky, breathing in and breathing out. So from here, we're going to drop the elbows down onto the mat, into our dolphin. Keep the palms down and press into the palms, and you can look a little forwards, so you can look sort of towards your elbows. From here, we're going to walk the feet in as far as we possibly can. So the weight is tipping forwards. The shoulders are very much challenged here. And then walk them all the way back out into a much longer dolphin. We're going to do 2 more. Walking in, load those shoulders, broaden the shoulder blades, and then walk them back out. I'm sure you can feel, you can hear the effort of me in my voice here. 1 more, walking them in. It's not the easiest thing to talk through. And then walking back out, all the way. Drop your knees down, sit your bum to your heels, forehead to the floor. And if your arms would like a little extra rest, then just place them alongside your body instead. And let yourself slow the breath. Expanding into the torso, breathing in. Softening into the fold, breathing out. Good, one more. Great, rise yourself back towards tabletop. Sweaty foreheads come off of the mat. Lift your hips back into the sky and into down dog. It's a short little sequence, but it's nice and it's a powerful one. That's a good word for it. Right leg, inhale to the sky. Press the chest back, lift those toes tall. Feel that left hamstring stretch. Exhale, knee to nose. Get them as close to each other as they can. Maybe they can hold together. Keep rounding the spine, pushing into the arms. Holding here, breathing in. And then drop the back heel down, side plank, shoulders on top of wrist. Keep this knee hugging in towards the body, left arm to the sky. Hips rising tall, take a deep breath in. And then kick the leg away from you, heel to the floor. If you've got a carpet, it's a little easier to slide on, or perhaps wooden floors. Slide that foot away from you, lift the hips to the sky, and left arm reaches tall. Gaze goes with the fingertips. Keep pushing into this right arm, breathing in. And then breathing out. Left hand comes down. Slide your way back. 2 feet to the back of the mat and into down dog. We're going to do that same drill one more time. I know it's hard, but it's so good for us. So drop the elbows down. This time, we're going to interlace the hands together so the arms are more into a triangle shape. So it a little bit more resembles what headstand would be. From here, walk those feet in. The weight tips forwards, your head probably moves towards your hands, and then walk them all the way back out. Again, walking in, hips rise higher. Press the elbows down, press the fists down, and walk all the way back out. Great, last one, walking them in. This is a good pincher exercise as well. I know we're doing headstand strength, but it gets you strong for all your inversions. And then from there, drop the knees. Let your forehead rest. Let your arms rest as well if that's more comfortable alongside the body. And take yourself a few breaths in. Lovely. From here, walk the hands in so you're onto your shins. We're nearly at the point of a headstand, guys. Shift your shins round so that you come onto your bum. And we're just going to do a little bit of core strengthening first. So, from a balancing on your sit bones point, we're going to come into boat pose. So, the shins float away from the mat, chest stays nice and broad, arms to reach forwards and your gaze stays forwards as well. Then let your hands come in front of your chest into like a prayer shape. You're going to twist towards your right. Think of sending your elbow to the outside of your thigh. And as you do that, your left toes reach forwards. Come back to center, 2 shins parallel to the mat. Twist to your left, reach out through your right toes. And come back to center. We're going to do 2 more each side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, go to the left. Exhale. Last one each side. Reach out through those left toes, back to center. Reach out through the right toes and back to center. From here, arms back alongside the legs. Think of your lower back, and as your toes reach forwards, you're going to place that lower back down onto the floor into your low boat. Shoulders roll forwards, lower back presses down, and then exhale. Release your feet, release your shoulders, release your head, and let yourself rest. Make sure you're on your, have a little reshuffle if you've rolled off of your mat. So just let your belly become soft for a moment, breathing in and breathing out. So we're just going to replicate a headstand shape on our back, feeling the strength that we need within the core to do that. So I want you to interlace your hands, and you can keep the hands relatively open to then go behind your head. So you're sort of cradling your head and your elbows hug in towards your face. So don't let your elbows go super wide, pull them inward. They want to be shoulder width apart. From there, round your shoulders off of the mat so you're looking towards the front of your mat, and press your lower back down against the floor. As I'm sure you can feel your core already, as we move through these movements, I want you to think that if your lower back comes away from the floor, that would be your signal that if you were in a headstand headstand, you'd have fallen over. So you really want to glue that lower back down and don't let it lift. So keep that chin towards your chest, hug your knees in towards your chest as well. So you're into a little tuck. I'm sure you can feel that your lower back is easily down against the floor now. Keep it glued, keep looking forwards, reach your right toes out the top of the mat and just hover your heel away from the floor. If your lower back has come up, you've fallen over, let your leg come a little higher instead. Knees in towards chest. Left leg, reach it out. Keep the leg straight and strong. Press that lower back down, shoulder blades round. Draw it back in. Right leg, reach it forwards. Press down through the lower back. You can maybe see that I'm quivering and shaking. And then knees in towards chest. Good. Left leg, reach it out. Keep that leg straight. Hug your right knee in. And hug it back in. One more each side, guys. Reaching it out. Pull left knee close to your body. And back in. And final time. Left toes out. Really strong through that belly. And then drawing the knees in. Good. Roll yourself up to seated. Crikey, hope you can feel that in your core. I most certainly can. So roll yourself over your shins, come towards tabletop, and we're going to come, we're working on our supported headstand. If you're doing this class and you're already good with your supported headstand, you can go ahead and go for an endurance hold. Hold it as long as you can. Like I said at the beginning, if at this point you want to put yourself in front of something to keep you safe, then go ahead. So I want you to take your elbows down onto the floor, make sure they're shoulder width apart, make sure you can hold your own biceps. Then interlace those hands. I like to tuck my little finger out the way so that I don't squish it when I push my fist down. So think of your toes that were your grip when you were standing. You're going to be pushing your fist down. You don't want to squish your fingers. The top of the head then goes onto the floor so that the crown of my head, my ponytail, is into that open fist. Tuck your toes, lift your knees, lift your hips to the sky so you're into your half headstand, which is just like Dolphin, but your head is on the floor. Now I want us to work on the strength for a moment first. So before we try a headstand, I want you to press down through your elbows and fist. Think of broadening your shoulder blades and see if your head can come directly off of the mat. So we're still looking back towards the toes. We're pressing down, lifting up. We're going to do 5. So pressing down, lifting up, that's 2. Resting down, up for 3, for 4, and then final time for 5. Let the head rest down, let the knees rest down, and make sure you give yourself rest coming back the right way up, particularly if you're new to headstanding, because it's going to feel funky for you to be upside down for so long. So give yourself that break for everything to be the right way up. So from here, we're going to give a go at the headstand. Same foundation, so you hold your biceps, you interlace the hands and tuck your little finger out the way. Make sure you do that on the mat so that when you place them down, you're not letting your elbows go super wide. So we've got 2 ways to get into this, but I'm going to show us the tuck entry because the split entry takes quite a lot of flexibility, which is not accessible to many people. So top of the head onto the floor, looking back towards my toes, press down into my elbows and my fist. Lift the knees. I'm going to walk my feet in as close as I can. This is where your hamstrings length, so your flexibility really gives you help. If your hamstrings are tight, you can bend your knees, but you'll see how that drops your hips. We need to get the hips right on top of the shoulders. Pull one heel in towards your bum. Now the foot that's left on the floor, on the ball of your foot, I want you to think of rolling onto the tippy toes, just like we did in that wide leg fold. The hips are moving slightly backwards. If we keep rolling, that foot might leave the floor. So you can give that a little go. There's going to be a point for many of us where that foot pretty much just will not leave the floor. Now I want to advise you to never kick into a headstand. You don't want to be throwing legs up towards the sky, a wall, anything with loads of momentum, because loads of momentum requires control to catch, and we don't want to be doing all that wobbling on our head. It's just not very nice for our neck. So, but there's a difference between a kick and a hop. So if that roll up is not happening for you, you know, your hamstrings are holding you back, the core strength hasn't quite kicked in, the upper body is struggling, you can take a hop. And a hop is a very small little encouragement of weight. So from your half headstand, you've pulled one heel towards your bum, and if this foot won't quite lift, take a tiny little hop, a little pop of the foot off of the mat, and to see if both heels can come towards your bum. If you're new to it, I very much discourage you from trying to send both legs to the sky in one go, because what's going to happen, imagine yourself on your back as we did the core strength, your lower back would effectively lift away from the mat, your hips will go too far over and away you'll go. You need to make sure that you're holding that core in. Imagine your lower back was on the mat, so there's that almost rounding of your lower back to keep your core strong. So I'll give you one more little show. If you're doing the little hop, remember it's not a kick. It's a tiny little pop of weight to pop that foot towards the sky. Now, if you found a tucked headstand and you're feeling ready for your next step, you can send one leg towards the sky. So just like we did on our backs, where we extended one leg, we kept the lower back onto the floor. You can then try hugging it back in and maybe the other leg. It's only when both of those on each side feel very strong, very stable, get my hair out of my face, would you be thinking that, right, now's the time for me to work towards two straight legs to the sky? All the while, think of your hips and your ribs hugging towards each other, just stay nice and strong through your core. Bring yourself down if you're still upside down. Crikey, I don't know how long you'll have held that if you're doing the endurance hold. And then we're coming down onto our backs. So space behind you, feet hip distance apart, arms reach forwards, and then slowly rolling yourself down, giving that core one last little burst of effort there. Knees to hug in towards your chest and give yourself a little hug, a little squeeze, maybe a little rock from left to right, as that often feels quite calming. It helps everything just scale down a little. Your knees to then go nice and wide, out towards your armpits. Keep your lower back on the floor, soles the feet to face the sky, holding onto your heels or your toes or your legs, and then giving them a pull down. Opening into those hips, drive the knees wide and think of sending the toes towards the top of the mat. Happy baby. Again, you might want to take a soft little sway from left to right. Just allowing those hips a nice big opening to end. And then hug the legs back together, giving your legs a little squeeze. Before the feet find the mat, let the soles of the feet face one another, the knees to then fall wide, reopening out through those hip flexors, which work ever so hard when we do core work, when we do inversion work. So just giving them a moment to lengthen back out. You can either rest your hands onto your legs or alongside your body if you prefer. Allow your legs to feel nice and heavy. Really let go. Let the legs fall towards the floor. And then stepping those legs out, one at a time, to let them go loose and floppy onto the mat. The arms are doing the same alongside your body, closing your eyes and just focusing on watching your breath move in and out. With each exhale, seeing if there's another part of the body that you can just let go of a little. Soften the belly, relax the face. And then take a deep breath in as you reach your arms overhead and point through your toes. Your knees to then hug in towards your body and give yourself a little squeeze. And before gently rolling your way up to seated, nice and long through the body. Your final breath in, circles the arms to the sky, lifting tall. And breathing out to lower your hands towards your belly and your chin down towards your chest. Thanks so much, guys, for joining me this morning. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'm sure, I feel like when I work up a sweat, it generally means that it was quite a challenging class. So I hope it was an enjoyable challenge for you, and if you are new to headstanding, if you have any questions, there's a little chat box at the side that you can, I'll be around for a moment, ask any questions. If you are able to donate to the class, I very much appreciate appreciate any support. The link to that is also in the description below the video. And I hope you can join me for another live class soon. There's this time next week, or there's Monday evenings at 6 o'clock UK time. Have a lovely day, lovely week, and I'll see you again online soon.